We're going to have a look at searching on Ancestry, looking at the use of advanced search and the difference between exact match searching and non-exact match searching. We'll also have a look at locating potential spouses from a marriage entry. Okay, we're going to have a look for a marriage record for a gentleman named George Napier, N-A-P-I-E-R, who the client thinks was married about 1922, and she is pretty sure that George married a woman whose first name was Meg, M-E-G, and she thinks Meg's surname began with an M, as in Mary, but she's not sure. Now, George is the client's great-uncle, so she is fairly sure of his name and the fact that they got married in the north of England. That's family record, so we're pretty sure about that. Now, what I'm on is an Ancestry in the birth, marriage, and death records search space. And what I first want to show you is we're in the advanced search option at the moment. And you can hide advanced by clicking on here, and if I click on that, basically what it does is it takes away some of the potential search options, but it also takes away the ability to search on an exact term and to add in different options for looking for phonetics versus not phonetic names, that kind of thing. So typically when we're searching, we tend to stick with the advanced search options for Ancestry and for lots of other databases as well. So I've just clicked back on advance here, and what I'm going to do is type in George in our name there, and Napier, and I've got default settings for the first name, and then for the surname, what I've done on my personal email, my personal account, is restrict to exact, phonetic, soundex, and similar names. And if you click on this link, it will show you what I've ticked on, and then actually I can click away here and not get soundex matches and not get names with similar meanings or spellings, and just keep the exact and phonetic matches. So I'll do that for the moment. You can see it's restricted to exact and phonetic match. It's here. On the marriage year, we've got 1922. Again, the default is plus or minus 0. We'll change that because we think that's probably not correct. And I'll scroll down again. And collection priorities UK and Irish, which is good, and I'll click on search. Now, what it's given me back is results 1 to 50 of over 59,000 results, so that's quite a few. But what Ancestry does is it matches the best matches first, and then it starts falling away with less possible matches. Now, our first one appears George A. Napier, surname of the spouse is Wills with a W, but we're 1924 now at Northamptonshire. I'm just going to scroll down a bit to show you how quickly they fall away. Here's a 1927 marriage in England, and then we start getting to things like Australia and the US for Cook County. So we're suspecting those aren't our matches, but if the client was wildly inaccurate, at least we would have some matches in and around the time period for a gentleman named George Napier presented to us, and we could scroll through those if we wanted to. But in this case, I suspect that George C. Napier, whose the spouse surname is Minery with an M, and a marriage of 1924, so within our 2-year range, in Durham, and I happen to know that that's in the north of England. So to me, this is a pretty strong match. So I'll go into the further information here on Ancestry and just see what we can find. So here's the transcribed information from the index image, and if I wanted to see the index image, I could either click on this thumbnail view of the image or the view original image. Both of those take you to the same page, but in the index case, it really doesn't show us any more information than what we have here transcribed from Ancestry, but you could go and look at that if you wanted to. Now, it's giving us the volume number and the page number, and this is the volume number and page number where that marriage registration information was taken down, and underneath we've got a Find Spouse link. Now, this record is post-1916, and in 1916, the countries started giving the spouses' surnames within the index. So matching people up becomes much easier. So if we click on this Find Spouse link, what we will get is a list of potential matches, and this Margaret R. Minery, spouse's surname is Napier, is the link there from the previous page. Now in this case, this woman's name is Margaret, which Meg is often the contraction of Margaret, so I suspect this is probably our couple. But let's go back to George's record here. And if we were looking at a record that was pre-1916, what we'd see here instead of this Find Spouse is a link that said potential spouses. And pre-1916, what you would find is on the page, there are 2 marriages outlined, the details of them on the volume and the page. So you've got a 50-50 chance of getting the correct spouse, which is quite useful. Sorry, all these emails are popping up. So let's go back to the results list here, and I want to show you what happens when we choose to restrict our search options a bit more and just get some exact searches back. So I've clicked on the Edit Search, and what I'm going to do is click on Match All Terms Exactly. And we can see now that George is restricted to exact, and I've still got exact and phonetic on the last name, and that's because Ancestry is saying, okay, well, you've said that this is what you want to do when you restrict to exact matches, so we'll keep that. But I could click away phonetics if I just wanted to do the Napier. Now, on the default settings, if you go in and look at this About These Settings link from here, what Ancestry will tell you is in detail what they mean when they say use default settings. And these vary by name, location, and different things. So if you're curious about that, I would urge you to go in and read about these settings. They're in great detail and far too much for me to tell you about here. So I've got exact and phonetic. Actually, I'm going to click back on that and take away that phonetic, just restricted to exact. And then we've got plus or minus 1922 with the 2 year. And we'll keep it on that. So I'll click on search and we'll see how many results we get back in this case. And now we're down to 19 matches, which is quite a difference from 56,000. We still have the George C. Napier with his spouse's surname as Minery on here, but if we scroll down a wee bit, it's still offering us up some other possibilities. For Australia and Cook County. And I could indeed get away with that if I went in and changed the filters a wee bit more. But in this case, actually, the 19 matches isn't too bad. So I would suggest you just have a play around on Ancestry and try different search result restrictions and see how that changes what you might get back in the way of returns.